Alrighty. So, while I do enjoy playing control decks in a lot of Magic's formats, one of the things I really don't like about a lot of the control decks that people tend to play is I'm not a huge fan of control decks where their win condition is hoping the opponent dies of old age. So, this deck is similar to the blue-white control decks that have been having some success in Pioneer, but I've cut their colorless lands they were playing in Field of Ruin previously, and I've added some red cards. So, Chandra Awakened Inferno is a very reasonable mirror breaker for other control decks. And Bonecrusher Giant is just one of the best red cards printed. This might be the best red card printed in the last decade, just in terms of raw power and the number of things it goes into. Like, having a proactive 2-mana removal spell is great. Having a good body is great. Like, so I'm interested to see how this feels. Let's go ahead and dive on into a league with it and see how it goes. Are there actually that many control decks in Pioneer at the moment? Blue-white control, the deck that this is based off was pretty popular for a hot second, but again, this format's still very developed, very developing, and there's a lot of movement in what's good, bad, or otherwise week to week at any given point. Thanks for the feedback, Caper. Chandra isn't also just good against control. Like, blue-white, traditionally speaking, has some problems with dealing with opposing planeswalkers, and Chandra's a good way to do that, in addition to being another pseudo board sweeper with her -3. So I feel like there's a chance the red splash here is good in more than just like the immediate mirror match. Stay regularly hydrated. Use a blue light filter on your screen. My glasses that I'm wearing also have a blue light filter built into them, which is nice. So here's a question. Since I have Supreme Verdict in my hand already, do I want to stomp this elf, or do I want to just Verdict on curve? I kind of think I want to just Verdict on curve, huh? I could also shock this in, stomp the elf, and then have Absorb up on 3. It's a pretty pivotal decision in the early game here. How do I want to go about approaching how I'm going to attack this match? Yeah, that's a very real downside. What Neil points out there, they could have an early Vivian, or if they play another elf, they could potentially have an early... I think because we don't know what green deck they're playing, I'm going to err on the side of caution and stomp this elf. I think that, like, which like, direction at this point in the road I'm taking is a big deal. It's going to dictate how our next few turns are going to play out. Okay, and Seagate Wreckage here, this is good. We gain a little bit more information. The Seagate Wreckage here actually gives me the info that, like, this Verdict's probably not going to be very good. So I get to go ahead and deploy. I'm going to deploy this Bonecrusher Giant now because the Seagate Wreckage implies that they're likely playing the ramp deck and not one of the stompy decks. Who'd you pay to give you good decks? To be fair, a lot of the decks that we've played that have been good sets have been brews. You know, it feels like I often get a little bit unfortunate in that, like, all the good decks kind of stack up on top of each other. Like, I feel like when we hit bad decks, we hit, like, this big pocket of bad decks, and it's just, like, an entire day of getting stuffed into boxes. And then, like, the following day will just be a bunch of good games and interesting games. I feel like if I could, like, more accurately predict which decks were going to get stuffed into boxes and which weren't, and I could, like, spread them out, that would be great. But there's just so much variance in Magic, and it's just so hard to predict what's good and what's not. I think I'm going to go ahead and absorb their ramp spell here. Because, like, World Breaker and stuff like that is going to give me fits with their cast triggers. Yeah, rough. Now, the downside to this is if they play like an Ugin here, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay, Veto covers me from Ugin, so that's nice. I'm going to start with an Opt here in case I had a tapped blue source. Okay. Probably because people bump the good decks. I don't think that's strictly true. In fact, I'd probably argue that it's frequently the opposite of that. So if they have a land here, they can World Breaker us. I don't currently have a very good answer to that. I guess I can just Verdict and lose my clock. I think the deck we're currently playing against is one of the best decks in this format. I'd be very surprised if everything in it is still legal come Monday the 6th. All right, hopefully this doesn't flip over anything too scary. Ugin's kind of scary. I genuinely don't believe the opponent's deck has any bad matchups. I think it has bad draws on occasion. Gosh, so if I Verdict here, I think I'm gonna cycle this. All right, I think I'm just passing. I don't want to Verdict and not have Veto up for a turn. Will I be surprised if nothing goes? I'll be very surprised if there's no changes on the 6th. It's their last that they said was going to be like rapid fire ban list update. So once whatever happens on the 6th is going to define what this format's going to be for the first Pioneer Grand Prix, I believe. So I would be surprised if they left it alone. It's impossible to predict what they're going to do. Not only because I feel like the people making decisions have philosophical differences from what I would do in terms of banning, but also because even if you ask me what I would do, I think there's a couple of right answers. Yeah, I also think there are some cards in this format like 3-mana Teferi that could go away just by virtue of being kind of awful. Yeah, that's another reason too why it's hard for me to make estimations is we don't have the data. Wizards has a lot more data than we do. Hey, thanks for the half-year support returning, Dawn. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Hopefully they put Ugin on top of their deck here and then we get to veto it. If they put Golos on top, we could be in trouble. Modern has a large divide between Tier 1 and Tier 2 decks. Do you think the same is true for Pioneer so far? I think we don't have enough information to answer that question. I think other than this ramp deck, I couldn't really tell you what a Tier 1 deck looks like because even though this format's been around for a couple of months now, every time a deck rises to the top, they decide that it's too good and they kick the legs out from underneath it. And to be fair, I think most of the decks that have risen to the top have deserved to have their legs kicked out from underneath them, but it doesn't change the fact that that makes it hard to predict. How do you feel about inevitability decks being viable in most formats? I think it depends on what kind of inevitability that they have. Like, I think the fact that this deck has inevitability that's very hard to interact with on just like every axis, like they just have so many lands that you can't destroy. And then on top of that, they also have their payoffs being cards that get triggers even when you counter them, I think is really tough. I don't know. I think what constitutes a tier deck is largely arbitrary and differs from person to person when you ask them to describe that. Like, if they have a World Breaker or an Ulamog here, we're probably just dead. Just a Golos, sure. I wonder if they have the land that makes mana of 5 colors. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. All right, so here, this is the part where this is a good example of what I mean when I say the opponent's deck doesn't have bad matchups, it just beats itself. So at this point, we could get incredibly fortunate and our opponent's deck could just draw a bunch of mana sources and die. However, if they draw any of their bombs at this point, we're probably just dead. Like, they're tapping for a colorless card here, so I assume the game is over. I guess this has to go to 1. Oh, it has to go to 9, right? It pluses. Okay, so this is actually one of their threats that's not necessarily terrible for us. That one is, though. All right, we're done at this point. If they didn't have threat as their last 2 cards, we might have had a shot. I think we could beat the Ugin because we could bounce it. I think Cavern of Souls is good for Magic. No, I think Cavern of Souls is rancid. I think Cavern of Souls not existing in this format is great. Not a fan of Cavern. Gosh, maybe I want this cast out. It takes what's it called off the table? What am I trimming though? I guess Time Raveler's not very good in this deck, in this matchup. Bouncing their creatures tends to suck. Yeah, this matchup's very bad, close to unwinnable for the regular blue-white control deck in this format. The fact that, like, we have some number of light cards that actually kill them is relevant. Like, Bonecrusher Giant is good here just as a 4/3 for 3. I have some tools here, like Disdainful Stroke and stuff like that. Yeah, this looks great. Let's play Monastery Mentor on 3 and hope for the best. Gets to stomp a land war elf on turn 1. Stomp an elf, play a mentor, hopefully draw some things that trigger mentor afterwards. We've played Bay of Wishes inside of blue-white control. I think there's a reason why the blue-white decks that have been successful are not playing it. So just by the numbers, I would be surprised if it's ideal to play Fae of Wishes versus not. But again, like, things like that require lots of data to really know, like, this small nuance change between this deck and another version of this archetype, like, which is ideal. I have no idea is often the answer. Like, the amount of games you have to get in to, like, know the difference between that is huge. So, it doesn't feel good, but we're going to Brazen Borrower. We're going to Brazen Borrower this Cavalier back to their hand. Hit them for 7. Yeah, like, while I play a lot of actual Pioneer Esper, like, the amount I play with any particular deck is very small. Like, even decks like Blue-Red Eldrazi that I've played more than most, if you, like, go on my website, I've only played, like, 5 leagues with it. 4 or 5 leagues. We almost have them dead. Another Bonecrusher Giant might do it. Were they dead to a spell? This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, they're actually dead, right? I guess they could block Bonecrusher Giant and not be dead. If they block Bonecrusher Giant, they go to 1. Playing 2 Dig is too good not to, Cinnabar. We have ops, we have censors, we have other cards that go to the bin. Your adventure cards eventually go to the bin. People get so caught up in having to use cards like Dig Through Time in the busted way, they forget that it's just a good spell. Like, casting Dig for 4 to 5 mana in the mid game is fine. It's very good. So any non-creature spell we could have drawn to cast there would have won the game, so we'd have won with prowess. I think Gear Hulk is very bad. I think Gear Hulk is clunky and not necessary. So Ugin, obviously very bad for us. They're making creature mana though. We beat Ulamog, right? Because Ulamog exiles 2 things, and then we have 3 attackers, and they're at 1. So we beat this Ulamog on the back of Monastery Mentor. Yeah, Ballista would beat us here. But that's not good enough, right? Yeah, Bonecrusher plus Monastery Mentor here were a good pair. Also remember, like, again, like we frequently talk, God bless America. Flippin' magic, man. Flippin' magic, man. Just unreal. This dig cost me 7, chat. I can't dig and opt here. That's not how the math works out. Yeah, I can find, if they can't gain more life, I can find another Bonecrusher. Okay. And I'm going to take an opt here. So this way, if they do gain 2 more, I can potentially, if they do gain 2 more, I can potentially find the 4th Bonecrusher and kill them. What does delving 1 more do, Tumos? What does 1 mana do for me? I'd rather get in 1 more point of damage, right? Yeah, Chandra would also be okay. We're dead to Walking Ballista though, so I assume we're not gonna live here. Okay. This can find a Radiant Fountain. I don't have time to cast another Dig Flame Burst. I have a draw step and an opt to find a 4th Bonecrusher. The fact that they have World Breaker here means I can't draw Chandra because I no longer have 8 mana. If they hadn't World Breaker, Chandra would also be an out. They exiled my other Bonecrusher Giant. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, I think the opponent's deck's currently the best deck in the format. I think I would be surprised if it's still the best deck in the format come Monday, because I assume a number of cards in it will no longer be legal. It is much, much better than everything else in the format. It does not have bad matchups. It only has bad draws. What do I think they ban for? I think there's a bunch of different things they could ban. I I think ideally they'd ban all the 1-mana accelerants. Just get rid of Elves and Grazer. Just get them gone. I think they could also ban top end. They could ban Ugin, Ulamog, Worldbreaker, any combination of the 3. I would prefer if they just ban all the 1-mana accelerants though. I think in my opinion, as long as the 1-mana accelerants are legal in this format, green decks with the 1-mana accelerants will likely be the best thing you can do. I really hope they don't turn Land War Elves into this format's Mishra's Workshop. I really hope they just ban the problem instead of restricting around it. Could be Sultai Flash. I'm gonna go ahead and stomp their face here. What else is Oko getting banned in next? You know, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Oko's actually fine in Modern, and the issue is that, the issue is just Mox Opal. Mox Opal has long overstayed its welcome in Modern. And I really feel like if they ban Oko at this point, they're banning it because that card sucks. This looks like the Sultai Reclamation deck that's been going around a little bit. Should have Abrupt Decays to deal with this Teferi, but if they don't have one, he's going to be real good. Yeah, Astrolab too. Astrolab and Oko are a big part of that deck's a big part of the issues with that deck on a fundamental level. So it's an issue of, like, do you want something to happen sometimes or never? Like, what's an appropriate, like, what is this okay to happen sometimes? Sometimes you can just race the ramp deck, but usually when you're racing the ramp deck, you're racing their bad draws. So that's a good one. Do they play Quench? I feel like there's a good chance they play Quench. Just playing untapped lands here. I think I'm supposed to just draw a card with this again right away, just in case they have another Abrupt Decay. Imagine if Petty Theft could target yourself. It would be busted. Brazen Borrower is already pretty good. It would just be completely cracked in half. Am I only playing 3 Time Ravelers in this deck? Gosh, I'm stupid. Why didn't I cast out Wreck instead of borrowing it? Because I want them to spend mana on Reclamation again later. Because, like, if they tap out for Reclamation again later, I can cast it out then. Please counter this. Thanks. Oh, Magic's great. You don't need 4, just draw our 3 copies that we played, right? Third verse, same as the first, a little bit louder and a whole lot worse. Yeah, it feels like we're into garbage time at this point. I think 5-mana Teferi would be an appropriate card if they hadn't missed the fact that it can tuck itself in. I think the thing that's offensive about 5-mana Teferi as a card is the fact that it lets you just not play another win condition. I think if Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, didn't give you the option to deck your opponent as one of its play patterns, it would be fine. But I think because it gives you the option to deck your opponent as a win condition, it's not okay. I think the rest of it's fine, but like the fact that this card can be a win condition because it can tuck itself in means that control decks get away with not playing win conditions and not get punished for not playing win conditions. So if this card, the fact that this card can tuck itself back into your deck is what makes it basically strictly optimal to not play things like Approach and not play things like Gear Hulk, because you don't actually get punished for not being able to win the game. All right, so Nightpack Ambusher is a card that they have that I do have some concern over, so I'm going to leave in a couple of Supreme Verdicts, but I don't think I want all four. I guess Bonecrusher Giant kills Frilled Mystic, so maybe that's worth leaving in. It's a threat as well. Maybe I don't need Monastery Mentor. I don't need these. Trim 1 Bonecrusher Giant. What do we think of this? I think this seems reasonable. Let's do that. Yeah, Nissa Who Shakes the World is a 3-mana walker in a lot of the same ways that 5-mana Teferi is also a 3-mana walker. How do you feel about Rabble Master instead of Mentor? That's an interesting thought. They both kill rather quickly. That's probably worth exploring. We definitely have enough red to support Rabble Master. Yeah, but like when you're boarding in either of those cards, oh, they don't have a third land. Yay, Magic. They mulligan. Oh, they mulligan to 5. It's a rough start. Censor me, Daddy. Censor me. If they want to censor me, that means they're then not cycling the censor, which seems good for me. Let's just try and capitalize on them stumbling. I think Monastery Mentor has a place in the blue-white approach sideboard. I do not. That's why it's not there. Especially the blue-white approach build that's on my website. That build has a Fae of Wishes package, which really limits how much you can do in your sideboard. Fae of Wishes. Fae of Wishes is reasonable and flexible, but it comes at a cost. Yeah, Mentor not only requires you to have spells, but it requires you to cast spells. Whereas, like, Rabble Master you could play on 3. It starts producing just, like, endless pressure. And then you never have to tap out for it again. We played a red-white deck that had Monastery Mentor in it at one point, but we've not played, like, this is a Monastery Mentor mid-range deck, no. We've been, like, it was like an aggressive prowess deck that had some Mentors at the top end, if I recall correctly. think I'm just passing at this point because they could hit a land and play a 4-drop. It's going to end step a Brazen Borrower here, I think. If they want to counter or kill this Borrower before it hits them, we can then cast Bonecrusher Giant. Yeah, but honestly, Mikey, the Rabblemaster probably would have been better. They're at 6 from our Bonecrusher Giant earlier in this game. Hey, Demolisher, thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. Happy 2020 to you and yours. Thanks for keeping me employed here with that. If we run off a couple of lands with another red source here, this Chandra is going to drag us across the finish line. You think we can talk our opponent into changing to poker? Poker face, poker face, my. Not cycling that one. Absorbs over vetoes with Chandra Kicker. So we'll stroke their Frilled Mystic here, or veto their non-mystic counterspell. Yeah, great. I'd have to go back and watch the tape to, like, see where exactly and, like, count it out exactly, but I agree that had that been Rabblemaster, we probably would have been close. Now, I guess a problem here is they just, like, slam Nightpack Ambusher. I don't currently have a card that impacts the board, right? I guess I have Bonecrusher Giant. I think it's right to cantrip the Teferi there because I want to try and hit the red source for Chandra, but wow, if we just get to untap here and they don't put anything into play, that's real good. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna lead on Bonecrusher here because it lets me leave up double counterspell, and then we'll play Chandra next turn. So, like, have to deal with this, and then we get Chandra down. Please be a trophy. Please be a trophy. Sick. Take 2, get vetoed. Trigger. Bonecrusher's ready! I guess we could kind of be playing with fire here, because if they, like, Thoughtseize us, we get into trouble. Lol. Lol. Have an emblem. Let's get down to business. We don't have time to screw around. What is this? This must mean I'm just obscene. They mulliganed low and stumbled that game. I guess we also stumbled to start too. Both sides had a little bit of fumbling around. Combat Muffin CA, thank you for the 3rd of the year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Could you ballpark the number of hours of Eminem you listened to? I have no idea. Not a lot in recent years. A lot as an adolescent. I have a very good memory for song lyrics and math formulas. Andrew Benson. I think it's time to get targeted by mods. I need a sword to protect myself. Thanks for keeping me around. Have a sword to go with that shield. This matchup should be good for us. Bonecrushers are good here. Teferi Time Raveler and Brazen Borrower are both great here for punishing their scissors. I think there's a strong argument for banning Teferi Time Raveler in this format because it just generates miserable play patterns. I think you could make a strong case that that is something you could do. Yeah, this is a matchup where Lyra would come in. Basically, any aggressive deck Lyra would come in against. Disagree on good memory of lyrics. Good memory of approximate beat is maybe more accurate. Definitely more accurate. Definitely more accurate. I don't know, Toxic Chips. They're complicated questions. There's no substitute for hard work in Magic. There just isn't. Like, what happens after this change gets made? It would be very arrogant of me to assume that I know. I can't know is the answer. There are a lot of variables. Is Cast Out too slow? I feel like Cast Out's probably too slow here, huh? What's better, a pair of Absorbs or the pair of Chandras? I feel like the pair of Absorbs might be better. I have no idea what that refers to, Bloodbath. It's been a while since I've done anything in terms of formal research or study or education or anything like that. Actually, the Veto's probably better than Absorb because it can't get Stubborn denied. And it's cheaper. Yeah, let's do that. I am, gosh, I finished grad school when I was 21. I'm almost 29, so it's been almost a decade. It's been almost a decade since I was in school as a student. I will be 29 in 5 days. I started undergrad at 16. That's how you finish grad school at 21. Are we having a birthday stream? Well, I believe the 7th is a work day. Yeah, the 7th is a Tuesday. So, I'll be here. I bet your knees don't even hurt when you wake up. Pretty sure we just get to bone crushing here. I think I block if they attack. Do I? I guess I could just race them with like this absorb. I'm gonna play Teferi and plus here. And then next turn I can bounce the Ghostfire Blade, stomp the Serpent, and then veto the blade on the way back down. Opponent's draw has been real middling both of these games. The opponent's deck is what I would frequently describe as like a 2 or a 10 deck. When it's firing on all cylinders, it's super impressive, but like its average to below average draw largely looks unplayable. Yes, statistically speaking, there's at least 3 people in chat right now that share my birthday. Hey, thanks, Scrubber Ducky. I appreciate that. On my end, Prime versus not Prime is all the same. Oh, I totally should have played this, right? Because it would have untapped my lands. That's whatever. They're stumbling enough that they're just dead. To be pedantic, birthdays are not evenly distributed. That's true, actually. That is a fact. It's garbage time. You don't have to go home, but you can't play here. So do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah, look at that. You got 7 spells. Weird how that works when you don't have lands. Bonecrusher, but believe it or not, Bonecrusher Giant's been a good splash so far. Cards felt really reasonable. Just like good card overall. I share a birthday with 2 people in my family, my twin brother and my oldest son. To be fair, you kind of had some control over the projection of when your oldest son was going to be born, right? You just got to be approximately 9 months out. So you would consider putting more good cards in your deck a good move. I would. I love. Yeah, adventure creatures in general. Like, there was a lot to criticize about Magic. There's a lot to criticize about Magic in 2019, but definitely a lot of good things too. And the adventure mechanic is definitely a high point for me. I think the adventure cards are one of the better mechanics that's ever happened for Magic. This hand's a little slow, but we're on the play, so I'm going to keep it. If they have turn 1 Dork, turn 2 3-drop, we're probably going to die in a fire, but I think this hand is keepable on the play. Even if they have like a turn 2 play, like the absorbs gain us enough life that we can like buy time to find something to impact the board. The fact that, like, these blue-white decks get both Brazen Borrower and Teferi just gives them such a trivial amount of, like, hey, that resolved, bounce and I'll deal with it later. Absorb. I'd like to take you inside of me. Please come inside of me. That can resolve, right? Since we drew the verdict. This is why I opted before casting my counterspell, because if we found this, I really didn't care if their card resolved. 26 lands later, chat. The Jeff Hoagland story. Please stop. I think I just need to put another card in my bin here. Dig for some lands, right? Sick. Go. The person who asked this felt better or worse than Approach. I don't have an opinion. Small sample sizes, etc., etc. Well, we definitely can't let Marvel resolve. You shall weave the wood, opponent. All of the wood shall be weaved in your honor. So we're looking for Verdict plus an untapped land here. Just like we drew it up, chat. Just like we drew it up. Bonecrusher Giant would have also been good. Bouncing their cantrip feels a little weird, but I think it's right here. I want to draw a card too. They currently have 18 energy. Maybe I'm supposed to hold this Absorb, because if they hit, like, running, what's it called? I could be in trouble at this point. Oh, yeah, that's true. Marvel is useless while I have Teferi out, right? I forgot about that. Sure. Yep, deal. They now have 20 energy. I think I'm still supposed to veto this, just cause. Just in case things go sideways. Punt count infinity. Thank you for the 42 months of support. That's a lot of months. Thanks for keeping me around. Happy to shuffle my deck because my last dig bottomed a dig and other good spells. So we were looking for lands at that point in the game. Just casually forgetting Teferi makes another card unplayable. I mean, come on now. He makes so many cards unplayable, chat. You can't possibly expect me to remember every card that Teferi makes unplayable. Now, one scary thing is, depending on how quickly we kill them, our opponent is potentially going to just, like, cast Ulamogs, right? Like, they're 3 lands away from casting Ulamog, 1 land away from casting Ugin. Really looking for, like, Chandra and Bonecrusher Giants at this point, so we can start killing them. But, like, they're at 29 at the moment. It's like these puzzle nuts gain them life too. I mean, to be fair, the castle is killing them. This is how the blue-white deck without win conditions tends to win the games. It just pumps out tokens with castle. Sick. Is it getting a little hot in here, or is it just me? You're on fire. Tick, tick, tock goes the clock. Clarion's kind of like better Verdict in this matchup in a lot of ways, right? I don't think I need 6 sweepers. They probably don't play anything that Clarion doesn't kill. Like thinking through. What do you think of this board plan? Seems reasonable. I think I like it. Maybe these Magma Sprays are good. A lot of their stuff is X-Chews, right? They could have Bristling Hydra. That's a reason to leave in some verdicts. Gus is kind of whatever. Let's do this. Hydra's a good thought. We didn't see one that game, but they also flooded a little bit that game, so hard to say for sure. Yeah, the Token Maker's a 2-3, but like Rogue Refiner and Servant of the Conduit both eat it to Magma Spray. I'm going to lead on Island here and opt to see if we can find another land before we commit to what we're doing with this Fabled Passage. So really want an untapped red source here. This is the punish for not Fabled Passaging right away. Could have really cut them off of mana if I'd have been able to kill this on 2. I didn't want to lock myself out of Absorb on 3 though. Cubby Bear's another reason to have, what's it called in my deck too? I'm just going to go ahead and Clarion this away before it gets out of hand. I guess they can harness lightning. Hardcast Mystic Dispute, sure. Yeah, we got super punished for not leading on the Fabled Passage. Well, you know, glad I left some of those in. Glad I left some of those in. Our mana definitely snowballed on us this game. That's fine. We're not in an unwinnable spot. We're in a bad spot. We're not in an unwinnable spot. So I get to... They are unfortunately going to get 3 energy when I Supreme Verdict the board here. But then next turn I can cast out this Aetherworks Marvel. So it depends on if they have something that can make energy here and give them a respin. Like Woodweaver's Puzzlenaut's real good. Yeah, the Golos, I saw this list, it looked neat. The Golos innovation lets you ramp with Shrine of the Forsaken Gods to actually like cast your fatties when you draw them, which is neat. This whole game just snowballed hard because I didn't play Fabled Passage to fetch Mountain on 1, and then the Long Tusk Cub got hits in and generated a bunch of energy. Okay, that lets me kill Golos, right? Alright, I'm going to shock this in. So it lets me hold up Absorb. It also lets me play around a Mystic Dispute. Because they only had 3 energy just in. And so while I'm gambling a little bit when they could draw energy, like it's unlikely. Yeah, the same types of cards you want in your deck to marvel into, you also want in your deck to, like, hit with a Golos trigger. And Golos ramps you with the Shrine of the Forsaken Gods to let you hit those cards naturally and, like, cast them on their own. Alright, if they have Mystic Dispute, we're dead here. Yeah, this game was a good example of, like, cascading decisions. It definitely is, Red Ranger. If you're a sub, you will not see ads on the channel. I think I'm happy with how I boarded. I'm not happy with how I fetched that last game. If we'd have killed Cub, that game would have played out very differently. That game was pretty close considering the mistake that I made. Looking for lands. As much as I want him here, I need to try and hit lands, especially red ones. Sweet. That lined up well. I mean, I don't even know that, like, that game was a good example of being punished because I had the extra color in my deck, so much as, like, it was, like, I made decisions that made that more difficult for myself, too. Do I stomp here, or do I Magma Spray? I think I just stomp. Well, I still get to hold up Disdainful Stroke, right? And, like, anything they play that I can't Disdainful Stroke, I can probably Magma Spray. Like, what's the biggest punish here? They go Blue Source Whirler. Like, this isn't a big deal. I think I just need lands here. I get to play this and start killing them. We didn't play Bonecrusher because I didn't want them to resolve a Golos or something scary like that. Whirler's annoying though. Is it that annoying? Rogue Refiner. This is fine, right? I just get to Bonecrusher Giant this. We stomp this, we fetch, we dig through time. Feels like they stumbled long enough that we're sliding solidly into garbage time here. Yeah, I don't even know if the Chandras are good in this deck, but like, Bonecrusher Giant has felt worth the splash. This card's absurd. It's really, really good. Just like being able to actually kill them too, like 4-3. 4-3 ends the game pretty quickly. It's a removal spell that you can leave up when you tap out for Teferi as well, which is great. That's true. We do get to say Bonecrusher's ready, which is also a huge upside. You have a Cubby Bear. So we just like tuck this in, cast a Bonecrusher. Yeah, honestly, Percy, maybe the Chandras belong in the sideboard. I don't know. They might just be, like, unnecessary. Like, maybe you just Rabblemaster instead. I feel like having Rabblemaster over Monastery Mentor is probably an upgrade, too, in a lot of ways. Oh, I should have left red up so I could Bonecrusher Giant here. I don't think it really matters, but whatever. Alright, we're 3-1 after a tough loss to Ramp in the first match. And Ramp's a pretty impossible matchup for this. Honestly, if you had 4 Rabblemaster in the board, you might be able to run Ramp down. You probably just, like, turn these Chandras into, like, Time Raveler 4, Brazen Borrower 3. Like, just splash for this. And Ramble Master and, like, Magma Sprays out of the sideboard. Magma Spray gives you a really good, clean answer to, like, Gutter Bones and stuff like that. That often give this archetype hard times. Isn't completely free, though. Mana is a little bit more painful. Okay, we'll get to see how our painful mana looks against a red deck here. That being said, Bonecrusher Giants also go about to be very good against the red deck. So, like, it's a cost, but what we're paying for is going to help us here. No, the cards you can counter with Spell Queller tend to not be very good, or not be very relevant. I think I'm shocking this in and playing Bonecrusher Giant here. I think. We're going to start by fetching another blue here. Hey, Red Ranger, thanks for the third of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Borrower's not particularly useful here. That's not bad. I think I'm bouncing their Bonecrusher. Like, obviously this lets them stomp us again, but, like, they're currently choked on mana. For people that are interested in my thoughts on spoilers generically, I'm going to have an article going up on Cool Stuff Inc. early next week. I'm going to sit down to write that tomorrow night before the kids get home. I'm back at work. I don't remember what I do and I want to go home. Yep. Sounds like life. Remnant Ruins is a good pickup here. Okay, Chandra could be scarier. Especially with Teferi in my hand. Ooh, Censor might actually get to do something next turn. I think I play and plus this, because I could tuck Chandra in, but I don't just want to, like, lose my Teferi. Sounds good, Mikey. And I mean, to be fair, if you pick this deck up and it ends up not being very good with the splash, the straight blue-white deck is very good. Hopefully we'll be able to censor something this turn. Okay, hopefully they play a 2-mana spell that we can censor here. Yikes. Well, shoot. Okay, I guess we're cycling this. Want to get lands into the bin for this dig through time as well. Thanks for the 13 months tapped lands. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Veto is a great pickup here. Bonecrusher Giant is also great. Okay, so we're like looking for an absorb here probably. What are the odds they have a wizard lightning here? Probably high. Do I just pass? I feel like I just pass. If I stomp this and they don't have a thing, it's a really high upside. Just playing Bonecrusher isn't very good because this shrinks it, so it's not even good inside of combat. Wow, none of those are absorb. That's unfortunate. I'm going to take Bonecrusher. I'm going to take this opt. I'm going to pass. I need to hold this Veto for the Chandra I tucked back into their deck, right? So I just have to let this Wild Slash on Teferi resolve, I think. Sure. I think that goes to the bottom. I'm just like looking for absorb at this point. Okay, sweet. Yeah, so they shouldn't have Chandra this turn. They should have Chandra next turn because I tucked her in. Last turn, they've drawn one card. Stomp my face. I think I just absorbed this, right? It's resource efficient, and Chandra's not happening for another turn yet. Because Tef puts it 3 down, right? Third from the top. So they've drawn one card. They'll draw another card this turn. Yeah, I think I just do this. Block. Oh, yep. That's punishing for not taking the Teferi, huh? It's brutal. It's also punishing for not playing around the what's it called? I'm just dead, right? We were so close. Embercleave was like the one card I couldn't beat with the sequencing that I took. Yeah, we know they have a Chandra in hand, so I have to petty theft the borrower, the Bonecrusher Giant, and like hope they don't have a land. Oh, they have Ramanap runes. Yeah, we're just like fuck 6 different ways. Yeah, and like even this doesn't do it because I just put Bonecrusher Giant back in their hand. Yeah, I failed to play around Embercleave and it lost us this game. That's what happened. If Embercleave's on the list of cards that I'm thinking about losing to, I could take a 3-mana Teferi to prevent them from playing it for 5 mana, or I could not absorb their Bonecrusher Giant at my end of turn and have absorb up for the Embercleave the following turn. I think questions like that are stupid, Mikey. I think questions like that aren't useful in any way, shape, or form to what I do here. Definitely want extra veto. Chandra seems slow. Yeah, we know for next game for sure. They're bringing a Stroke. They're a little bit of a bigger red deck. I bet they have like Glorybringer and stuff too. Yeah, that was definitely a game where like I think if deck lists are heads up, I probably win that game if I know what I'm playing around. But I just failed to properly identify what size red deck they were playing, and we lost because of it. I think we were really far ahead there, and it was our game to lose. It's a good draw. Morning Mills. I mean, all formats are made up. I'm just not into playing formats that don't have any longevity. I think I'm going to absorb a Bonecrusher Giant if it stops my face at end of turn. Probably on the Absorb Rebel Master plan here too. Whoops. That's definitely not a Plains. I'm actually gonna let that one resolve, and then we're gonna tempo it. Some are just less supported than others. Focusing on the support aspect, I think, is more realistic. Censoring 5 drops is just so viscerally satisfying. It's just like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Seems like cards that don't generate value at the turn they come into play are bad against Teferi. Yeah. They're bad against Brazen Borrower, too. Brazen Borrower's like omnipresent in this format. You didn't play anything. Don't mind if I dig. Was hoping for a 5-mana Teferi there. We'll settle for a second dig. Hey, Wolfie, I feel like I might have missed that one. Thanks for the 13 months. They had tap lands too. I feel like I might have missed those two. If I did, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm really frustrated with myself that I punted that first game to Embercleave. We'd be in such a good spot if I hadn't done that. I'm gonna Stroke here rather than Absorb because Stroke's the more narrow counterspell. Passage is a great draw with Dig. Was busy lamenting the fact that I punted the first game. Where are my Bonecrusher Giants at, chat? Gosh, Giant is such a good answer to so many things that give blue-white fits, like Mutavault. They put that on top of their deck. They think Chain Whirler is better than their average draw. I don't know if I believe that, but I'll take it. So I don't have any other digs left in my deck, so delving my whole yard here is fine. We're only playing 2 copies. Man, my Bonecrusher Giants are just like not ready to come out and play. I think we just like take 2 more no buttons. Time Raveler's not great in the face of this Mutavault. Are we having fun yet, chat? That's a good one. Bonecrusher is late. He is late to the party. Even if they have, like, Glory Banger here, we get to Brazen Borrower it. We have Veto to ensure that Lyra doesn't die. And then if we get to untap with this Lyra, the game is over. And it is not close. Anything get Immolating Glare? I think it's incredibly restrictive. God bless America. My thoughts on the opponent's deck? I think Dark Type's very reasonable. We played something incredibly close to this on stream, so if you want, like, my thoughts in more real time, feel free to go watch past Jeff play it. There he is. There he is. Are you ready, chat? Bonecrusher's ready. He's finally here. He's ready to take this Mutavault out back. That's actually pretty annoying. Yes, I have counter spells to make sure it doesn't do much. No. Bad mono red player. Stop it. Take 2. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, their red deck's like a bigger red deck, right? No. Bad mono red player. Stop it. Alright, so they're on 0 cards. I have a Lyra, an Absorb, and a Brazen Borrower versus their 2 Remanap runes. I have a Castle, too. Untapped land here is actually very good because it means I can Lyra with Absorb up. Alright, did you draw your second fry? If no, can we move on to the next game? That's a real banger. Race this one. Why didn't I absorb that? Should I have absorbed that? I don't really care about that, right? I guess if they draw Fry, I care about that. The old no attack, so you don't get attacked by Brazen Borrower. Deal. Hey, Fem. Thanks for the third of the year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Toss a prime to your streamer. Listen, we got a lot of options over here, Supion. A lot of options. Toss a prime to your streamer, oh Valley of Bezos. That's definitely the line. Oh, Valley of Bezos. All right, now you gotta try and win game 3. Shouldn't have punted game 1. Sure. Hopefully we dodge turn 1 Soulscar Mage. Dang it, Bobby. Dang it, Bobby. I had one request. One simple request. Thank you, Bonecrusher. We appreciate you being here and being ready. Wow, that's really good. That is incredibly good. This is they're easily their best start on the play. Yeah, gross. Yep, shouldn't have punted the first game. We're going to die here. Oh, God bless America. I gotta stroke that right. Just like their actual best possible. Borrower's a great pickup here. Means I get to stomp this and impact the board this turn. I'm going to 4 here. Extra blue, extra blue. The only thing better than this would have been another Bonecrusher Giant. This is still pretty good, though. Yeah, they didn't have Glorybringer here, so that's good for us. Yep. Yeah, Eidolon. Eidolon. Did it do 10? It did a lot. I don't know. I don't know if there was a lot that I could do to change the outcome of this game. Yeah, Lightning Strike. Yeah, just basically the Stone Cold Perfects. But and this is one of the things I think enough people don't consider, is like, you'll often hear, like, as someone who like ground playing a ton of Magic for a long time, you'll often hear people come up and they'll like talk to you, give you lots of bad beats. Congrats on popping my subscriber cherry. Thanks, Odin. Thanks for the awesome content, political, total, and of course, Teamer Oko rep. To finish my thought, one of the things I think enough people don't consider is you'll often hear like someone come up to you at a Magic tournament and be like, oh, my opponent was just on the play for game 3 and they had the nuts and there was nothing I could do about it. I'm just so unlucky. And it's like, well, what happened in the other game that you lost in that match, right? Like, I think so many people focus on like the way that like they were unfortunate to lose game 3, that like it's like, well, I lost game 1 because I messed up, right? Like I didn't think about all the things my opponent could have, and I failed to play around a card that they were likely to have. So like I lost that match because I made a mistake. I didn't lose game 3 because I made a mistake, but I did lose a game that contributed to me losing that match. Hey, Snipery, thanks for the 21 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. My takeaway from this is the original submission was, hey, Jeff, can you splash Chandra into blue-white to have a way to win the mirror? And I was like, okay, the other good red card I wanted was Bonecrusher. And like, after playing the games with this deck, Bonecrusher Giant was just like, it was basically absurd in every match. Like, this card's just very, very good. It's just a good Magic card. Is the TLDR, believe it or not. Chandra was kind of whatever. If blue-white becomes popular again, it's kind of fallen off because the ramp matchup is hard. But if it becomes popular again, having access to Awaken Inferno as a mirror breaker is probably fine. But Bonecrusher alone felt like it was worth the splash. And if I were to play Jeskai again, I think I'd cut these. And I would play, I don't know, offhand, another Borrower and another Time Raveler. It could also honestly be right to just play some other burn spells, like Wild Slash could be a very reasonable inclusion to help you curve out more consistently, stuff like that. Things worth considering. In the sideboard, I think Rabblemaster is probably better than Monastery Mentor as an additional threat. Would Clarion's Sweeper be better versus mono red aggro? Sure, Clarion's a good card. That's why there's 2 in the sideboard. I don't think I'd play them in the main. Supreme Verdict's a more flexible card, so I'd rather have the more flexible card in my main deck, but Clarion in the 75 is more than fine. All right, at any rate, we've got one more Pioneer deck coming up today before we roll on into our historic segment. We're going to kick the tires on Bant Elementals again for the first time since Loco was removed from the format. Thanks for the 2 months, Ziggy Prime. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'm going to go ahead and hit a quick ad roll and probably restart Magic Online. While we get set up for this, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks.